Hello, KCat Nation. This is Ben and Ptine coming to you live and, well, like we said last time, not live at all anymore. Recorded and reclusive, as a matter of fact. Stuck in quarantine. At least we're still stuck in quarantine here in Victoria. Peter, are you guys still quarantined there in Houston?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems like that'll be life at least until the end of April. Ben and Ptine, the Quarantine Diaries is brought to you by Stir Water Enhancer. Let's say that you've given up carbonated beverages for Lent, or maybe you just are one of those people that doesn't want to be a boring, tepid water guy. Well, Stir Water Enhancer, little droplets, flavored with stevia, so it's not any of the nasty fake sugars. Perfect alternative to your normal boring water. And we have a very unique arrangement with Stir here at the Quarantine Diaries. Uh, for $2.99 a week, they allow me to buy some from Walmart. It's a pretty good deal. We're very happy with that. Now, and Peter, what I've learned from this, right? So I'm obsessed with this stuff and and drinking it constantly, and it kind of goes to something that I've learned over the years, and that's that you always want to be just a little bit interesting, right?
Yep.
So don't be plain water guy. 'Cause plain water guy is about as boring as you can be. Adding a little splash of this into there makes it interesting, and it's always good to be interesting. I feel like all the best moments in my life have been when I was doing something a little bit more interesting. One time, I was talking to this gal, not my wife, so it's a different time. But she said, "Well, you want to go out and do something?" I said, "Well, no, I'm actually staying here and I'm cooking a loaf of bread with airmint flour. It's a ancient grain."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I'll come over and do that with you." Great time, right? Because it was interesting. It's a little bit interesting. Now, another case. One time I had a coconut, and I asked people if they wanted to come over and help me break open this coconut, and of course they did, right? Because it's interesting. So it's always good just to be a little bit more interesting than someone else. Like imagine, and this will be kind of hard because you have kids and a wife now, but imagine that you were still on the dating scene, right? And you go to someone's house, right? Maybe the future Mrs. Turrentine, and she asks you if you'd like to have a glass of water, right? So you'd say yes because you're being polite and what have you, and you expect her to come back with a little bit of tepid water. Now, if she came back with maybe water with an ice cube, a little more exciting. But what? What if she came back with water that had a little bit of like a cucumber flavor to it? Huh? Pretty interesting. Something you're gonna remember, right? Right?
Yeah. Is Stir the Canadian version of Mio?
No, no. How dare you? See, so that's exactly what I'm. So first off, Stir is an American company, uh, and it is special because it is flavored with stevia, right? So Mio has the nasty sucralose in it, which inevitably is going to cause cancer and coronavirus and all this other stuff. So Stir is perfectly natural. It's the only natural water enhancer. So yeah, you should learn more about our sponsors. For $2.99, you can get some at Walmart too.
I typically buy the clearance carbonated water from Kroger.
Well, see, so that was kind of the one thing I was holding on to. I had become an orange bubbly guy, right? Because
Yeah.
they have it at work, and so I'd become very used to getting that, and I gave it up for Lent, so I had to kind of find something different. And this stir flavoring really has been a life changer, and so much so that I actually tried to sign up for their subscription service, which is where they send you 5 bottles of it a month. And this is U.S. prices, right? So I was willing to take the 40% cut that it would to be purchasing something from the US and having it delivered to me here in Victoria. And despite the fact that we are geographically parallel to Bellingham, Washington, they didn't deliver to my section of the world. So I still have to go to Walmart for the $2.99 special. Much better than Mio. Much better for you than Mio. And it's probably better for me, to be honest, if I go to Walmart because I actually went to a drugstore this week, and I think the quarantine's starting to wear on me a little bit. So I want you to tell me, I'll tell you the story, and I want to preface this. And I think when you have to preface something, you kind of already know you're the villain. So I will freely admit, in this situation, it's likely that I'm the villain. So I'm admitting at the top of this that I was an asshole, but I think I'm a justifiable asshole, and I want you to be the judge of that. So I went to the drugstore pick up some things. My wife is OCD. She's been washing her hands a lot, and her hands are super dry, right? So she needed a special ointment to go on the hands. So I went and got this. Probably TMI, but anyway, I went and got the ointment, and now in the drugstores they're enforcing social distancing between the shopping lanes, right? And you know how drugstores are already. It's a little bit chaotic at the front. There's not really those tills like you have in grocery markets. There's just kind of the one guy who looks like he hates his life standing up there by some sad little counter. So they have little stamps on the ground where you're supposed to stand in line, right? So I
Yep.
come walking up, and the third stamp from the front is open, sitting there open in the floor, right? I stop. I look. This stamp happens to be the only stamp between what is clearly the line and what is clearly an aisle, right? So it's kind of in no man's land. So I look, this stamp is open. The next stamp to my left, which is clearly in the line, is occupied. And in the aisle, there is a portly gentleman rummaging through a, the chips and pretzels, right? And he is close to a stamp, but he isn't actually standing on a stamp, right? So I look and wait and look and decide that he must not be in line. So I stand on the open stamp and I'm ready to get out of there, which is great because they make you stand in a line to get into it, right? So they kind of let you in stages. So there's a long line getting in. I thought, how fortunate am I that the line is very short to get out? So I'm standing there for what must have been about 30 seconds. And all of a sudden I hear, "Excuse me, sir, you cut me in line." And I turn around, and Chip Guy now has turned back towards the line, is standing on the stamp, and accusing me of cutting him in line. Okay, so I've painted the picture so far, and I fully acknowledge that someone who is not an asshole would have said they're sorry and would have gone to the back of the line. Uh, I didn't do that, so I'm going to acknowledge that I am an asshole at least at that point, but I think justifiable. So I turned to him and I say, "You were shopping. You were rummaging through the chips. I looked, I made sure that you weren't in line, and so I stood here."
Did you use the word rummaging?
I did use the word rummaging.
All
And
right.
he said, quote unquote, "I was browsing while waiting in line."
See, that was your issues. You said rummaging.
Do you think there's a difference between rummaging and browsing?
Oh, it's much more pejorative.
Okay, so anyway, at this point, I say, okay, fine, and 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 go to the back line. But as I'm passing, I say, "That's pretty sleazy," right? Again, probably shouldn't have said that. Asshole move, but I think justifiable. To which he says, "Excuse me," and I once again reiterate that he was shopping. And then he says, "If you'd like to get in front of me, you can, asshole." Which I think is a pretty empty offer because it's prefaced with the word asshole, right? So I think if I had tried to take him up on that, he probably would have reneged on the offer. Anyway, what makes this, there's two things that make this even worse, right? Is there's a notorious kind of autistic person around Victoria. So Victoria is a metro of about 300,000. So it's not tiny, but it's small enough that you can kind of recognize the local characters, right?
Hmm.
So there's this autistic person who always walks around carrying a toy dinosaur. I guess it's like their pet or their security blanket or something like that. And this person was apparently behind this guy in line, and you have never seen a look of such discomfort on someone's face than this poor person holding their toy dinosaur in the midst of me and this middle-aged guy going at it. And then to make things worse, right? One of the things I also bought was some Clorox spray because that's in such short supply. And I
Wow,
was
yeah.
holding it in my hand like I was, like I would be holding it to spray something, right? Inadvertently, not intentionally. So I get in back of the dinosaur carrying person, and I notice that there's a couple kind of huddled behind me in the aisle. And I look at them and I say, "Am I cutting you?" But I didn't realize at the time that when I said that, I was pointing the Clorox directly at them. And they nervously said, "Oh, no, 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 you're fine." And so I then waited in line. And of course, as luck would have it, I wind up leaving at the same time as the guy who accused me of cutting in line. So for the most awkward sort of pause at the automatic door before you leave kind of thing,
Right.
no pleasantries exchanged. But anyway, so I feel like I painted you a fair picture, and I've acknowledged that I'm an asshole in this case, but I think an asshole with some justifiable positions. What say you?
Um, I think your choice of vocabulary really did you in. I mean, between rummaged and sleazy. I think you just happened upon the portly middle-aged gentleman who understood those words and took offense.
I feel like if you're a portly middle-aged gentleman, if anyone insults you in a remotely sexual way, that is a compliment, right? I could have said that's pretty fatty of you, or that's something that someone with high cholesterol would do. I think implying that that's sleazy indicates that he's in some way desirable to other people, or at least attempting to make himself desirable. So I feel like I would object to that. Romagene, I guess maybe I'll give you, but I don't think that calling someone sleazy is necessarily the worst insult.
What?
Unnecessary. I agree with that, but to that part, I realized I was wrong. But I feel like my position is warranted. And to be honest, I'm not like complaining about inline guy, right? If you cut me in line, I'll probably just let you do it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna throw a fit about it. So I don't know. Again, I
What
felt
other
bad.
words could we have used? Foraging, perhaps. Uh,
Now, what if I said I saw you inspecting the chip thing? I mean, that could be both insulting and complimentary, right? Because it
but it
either
wouldn't have given you a strong enough defense because if someone inspecting is certainly an activity that one could do while in line.
what if I said I saw you foraging through that chip rack like a pig looking for a truffle? That a little too aggressive?
Yes, yes, that would have well warranted the asshole.
Now, how are you warranting, or how are you getting through the quarantine? I know last week you walked us through the saga of your tree, and there was some issues with that. Has the tree improved?
So the tree, so as I right, the tree, we had a couple days of rain and wind, and the tree's now bending the other way, like back onto the neighbor's property, and it's become very apparent all the points at which I cut it, and it looks kind of bad. So I'm feeling like I may have overcut it. And that every time where it was leaning over and I cut it, now it's leaning the other way, and there's just like naked branches that stick up and then abruptly end where I lopped them off. So I'm a little worried what the neighbor's going to say.
Hmm.
The other thing I was thinking with your rummager, your forager, is the main mistake that you made was sharing a common language. If you don't share a common language, no one's going to insult you when you cut them in line. So I have firsthand experience of this. I've lately been on a Korean cooking binge. And so for our weekly grocery trip, I went down to the local Asian market. And there's a lot of benefits to shopping in the Asian market. Everyone is wearing masks, and most people are wearing gloves. There's a really good sense of how to protect oneself and others from the virus. And then further, there's no, you don't expect that you can communicate with people verbally. And so there's a lot of nods, a lot of hand gestures that allow this sort of delicate, silent dance of people maintaining 6 feet distance, but accessing the different parts of the aisle that they need to access. It's really balletic, like a ballet. And so I was able to dance my way through this entire market, staying 6 feet away from everyone and comfortably in line because we did not share a common language.
Hmm. Well, and I do believe in the power of the mask, right? So I will say that uh, in certain cases, I will, and this is again one of the things that I'm accused of being on Team Fredo for, is uh, I will occasionally go out with a mask on, right? And I have noticed that people are a lot more friendly to you when you're wearing a mask. But I
But it's
haven't
hard
tried
to
the different
tell because you
languages.
can't see them smile. It's like, how do you know if they're being friendly if they've got a mask on?
I mean, if I'm calling you a rummager and I'm wearing the mask, you might be actually a little intimidated, right? That's like you don't know what this guy's coming from. Although they also can't hear you through the mask, so I think if I called him sleazy through the mask, he might have think I was asking him if he had scurvy, and he would have been like, "Well, I have oranges, so I'm good." I don't know. So what do you get at the Korean markets? The only time I ever went to a Korean market, there's that one on I-10, kind of before the Beltway. I think it might not even be a Korean market, it might be a Chinese market
H
because it's
mark.
huge.
Yeah.
So I went in there once and I was walking around just looking at all sorts of things that were foreign to me and not particularly appealing. Uh, and there was a little tank in the seafood area that had a live eel in it. That's the only thing that I
Hmm.
remember.
Yeah.
There was a fish in there with the eel, and I asked what the fish was for, and I was informed that it kind of keeps the eel occupied just in case the eel chase after the fish. That was my
That,
only experience. I don't think I actually purchased it.
you have to go prepared because many things have a minimal or no English description, and then are written in either Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese characters, which none of which I can read. So you have to go prepared with at least like a transliteration of what you look for. What do I get? The vegetables are really good: bok choy and spinach and Korean pear. You can get. I get the Korean. Um, what's the word? Like miso paste,
Oh,
soybeans fermented.
what
Uh,
about kimchi? You eat kimchi?
yeah, kimchi. Get like a 15-pound thing of kimchi. Um,
I feel like that's suspicious. I feel
no,
like
it's
when
so
you go
good.
there, you should be a little like I feel like they're already a little bit alerted to you, right? There's clearly a culture vulture in their presence, and so I feel like if you're getting the 15-pound thing of kimchi, that's like a white wrapper, right? You're really on their radar at that point. You're clearly trying to like the next thing you need to know is like in line giving tips to the person in front of you about your secret
How to
kimchi
use it.
recipe.
Yeah, my favorite
Yeah,
time was
yeah. So I
maybe
think
2 years ago when I went in, like somewhat tipsy, walked in, bought a 15-pound jar of kimchi. That was it. Walked
you
out.
tried to buy someone's daughter, and they're like, "This isn't North Korea."
This isn't okay. Yeah. You just have to be careful. It takes a long time because you like go through and you're not sure if this is the Chinese version of the Korean thing that you wanted or not. It's pretty difficult, but yeah.
Do they kind of look at you sideways when you get the 15-pound thing of kimchi, or is that pretty standard?
They're polite,
Hmm, interesting. I bet
decent.
you
So
they're not happy about that. I bet. All right. Well, time to pivot to sports. All right. So for sports this week, in freshman year of college, it's made us read the Bible. The Bible tells you to go be fruitful and multiply, that your descendants will be as numerous as the stars. And so as a result of that, we decided to play the most appropriate game for the TAC crowd. And the game is called How Many Kids Did They Have? I'm your host, Ben Almeida, father of one, like long walks on the beach. But let's not talk about me. Let's meet our contestants. A teacher from Houston, Texas, who's been described by his students as something like a hobbit and not one of the cool ones. Father of three, Mr. Peter Turrentine.
hello.
There we go. Come on down. And a Ben and Ptine legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Tom LaFave, father of five. Tom, come on down. Woo! All right. Here's how the game plays, gentlemen. I give you a TAC couple. You guess how many kids they had. Now, in the event of a tie, you also have to guess the breakdown. First one to four wins. Now, for the sake of our participants here, I have chosen their best pictures. So hopefully no one will get mad at me when we post this online. Our first couple, the lovely Simon Noster and his wife Nicole Dunn Noster. All right, this was, I think, one class above yours, Tom, and one class below yours, Peter, and then Nicole was in my class. So,
Yeah.
Peter, you won the toss. You can go first. How many children do Simon and Nicole have?
3.
What is the breakdown?
Uh, 2 boys, 1 girl.
All right, Tom, what say you?
Ooh, I'm gonna say two, a boy and a girl.
All right, and the result is three girls, one boy. Four.
Oh,
All
Ooh.
right, that is 1 point, Peter. Let's move on to our next couple. Matt Grimm and his lovely wife, Rosine. Now, keep in mind, boys, she's Irish. How many kids do you think these two have? Tom, you get to go first on this one.
oh my gosh, I should know this.
No looking at Facebook.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't want you. I know it's either 4 or 5, but I'm gonna guess 4. And boys and one, 3 girls, 1 boy.
Three girls, one boy. All right, Peter, what
Oh
say
my
you?
gosh.
5 and 3 boys, 2 girls.
All right, I better write this down. Actually, just getting to this. So Tom said 4. You said 3 boys, 1 girl, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm so screwed up. I need to know that. I'm gonna
And
get so
Peter
much
said
trouble for
5,
this.
3 boys, 2 girls. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right, let's see the results. Oh, it is 1 girl, 3 boys, and 4. This is point Tom. All right, we've got a
At
1 to
least I
1
got the number
tie.
of kids right. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1-1 tie. Let's move on to Bobby Moen and Kelly Doherty. Look at that handsome lad. CHP's finest. How many kids do Kelly Doherty and Bobby Moen have? Peter, you're first.
6, 3 and 3.
6, 3 and 3. Tom, what say you?
4, 3 boys, 1 girl.
All right. And the results. 2 girls, 2
Oh.
boys, a point LaFave. It's a 2-1. He's running away with it, Peter. You got to make the comeback. All right. Blake Circle and Kelsey the Winch Wenchy. Up in Alaska, how many kids do they have?
Is
This
it
is
me
Tom's
first?
time. Yeah, Tom's
Yeah,
first.
it's
Oh,
you
okay.
first.
I'm gonna say 2 kids.
2
Boy, 1
kids.
girl.
1 boy, 1 girl. Peter, what say you?
2 girls.
All right. And the answer is 3. 1 girl, 2 boys. I think this might be point LaFave because you had
Oh
2 girls.
no.
This is not looking good. We might not make it to 7. Tom's got a almost insurmountable 3-1 lead. But let's take things up a notch.
Roll across.
We're going to introduce
Corner.
an infidel, Caitlin McAllister, Midwestern Dream Girl, and her
Oh
former
my
husband
God.
Tom. How
Well,
many
she was in my class. And
That's
she
right.
left like the first year, didn't she?
Yeah, because she went and married Farmer Tom, the infidel.
Oh.
All right. So,
Wow.
I'm gonna go high on this one.
all right. Well, I think whose turn is it first? I think Peter. Is it your turn? No, it's
Go ahead, it's yours, Peter.
all right. Yeah, we'll
All
do
right.
Peter first. All right, Peter.
I'll say 3, 2 girls, 1 boy.
All right, Tom. What say you?
4.
4. What's the breakdown?
3 girls, 1 boy.
All right, and the answer is 6.
Oh my
4
gosh.
girls, 2
No.
boys. And I
Whoa.
think we have a winner! Woo! Congratulations, Tom
Thanks. What did I
LaFave.
win?
With a
You
lifetime
won a
subscription to the Ben and Ptine
subscription to
podcast.
Stir.
Yes.
Subscription to
Woo.
Stir. That Ben will send you a link to subscribe to Stir Water Enhancer.
I might actually send you some Stir Water as the sponsor. By sponsoring, I mean I purchase it from them. But you know what? We had 7, and we just have to finish. So let's see if Tom could just salt the earth of
Oh,
Peter's land after vanquishing him. All right, we'll go to Frank and Deirdre Osborne. She looks like a Kennedy, doesn't she, boys? Look at that face. All right, Frank and Deirdre. Peter might know this. This might be unfair.
I might know it too. I talked to Frank a couple years ago, I want to say.
All right, let's grind Peter's bones then. What do you
is it my
say?
turn?
Tom first. Yes.
The time he told me either 2 or 3. I'm gonna say 2.
All right. What's the
And 1
breakdown?
boy, 1 girl.
1 boy, 1 girl. Peter, what say you?
3, 2 boys, 1 girl.
All right, and the answer is 3. 1 boy, 2 girls. Point Ptine. All right, so right now it's 4-2. Let's see if you can make it respectable. We will edit the film so it looks like it was close, or it'll just look like Tom just stomped you. John Boyer and Sarah Carpentier. Now be careful. This might be a trick question. I think
Wait,
Peter
but that's not his wife.
first on this one. Ooh, spooky.
I'm going to say 0.
0.
Yeah.
All right. Tom, what say you?
Because it's not his wife, I'd have to say 0 as well.
Well, guys, sorry. We're looking at the breakdown of the family. We have 2 boys, 1 girl for John and the lovely Mrs. Boyer, and a whopping 4 boys and 2 girls for Raph and Sarah. Thanks for playing. Come back this time next week for Who Challenges Peter. Play out my music here. Oh, no. We'll edit that. There we go. Ooh. All right. Well, Peter, that was rough.
Oh yeah.
The good news is you're going to have an opportunity to redeem yourself because each week we will have a random person challenges Peter opportunity, uh, where, where you can potentially get some revenge. Now, where I'll end things is in an effort to promote the podcast, I intended to do a Facebook ad, right? To kind of just notify people that may care about it that there was an opportunity to hear us again. And I made a mistake. I made an ad and targeted it towards anyone that went to St. Thomas Aquinas College, right? However, I kind of did a double take after I published the ad because I sort of remember my wife mentioning that there was someone with a Thomas Aquinas sweater in The Simple Life. And I thought that was absolutely absurd. There's no way someone from TAC is going to be on a show with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. So she made me watch the episode, and it was someone wearing a shirt that said St. Thomas Aquinas College, which apparently is a school in New York. So for about a day or so, popping up on the time feeds or news feed was an ad for Ben and Ptine in the morning, and it actually attracted people. We had 400 people look at the ad and come to the page, and like 200 people listen to the first 10 seconds of the podcast. So what I've decided to do is I'll certainly send this out to TAC, but I also am going to once a week target a completely random demographic that would have no interest in the show. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what we should target it to this week. I think maybe in the spirit of your story, we could target it to maybe people who like Korean food as an interest. What do you think?
Yeah. 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 Korean cuisine.
All right. So for all of our friends out in KCAT land, both the people we went to school with and our soon to be fanatic Korean food army, we bid you adieu and we'll talk to you next week.